My name is Maggie Colicchio. This is my final presentation for EDCI 6331, John Dewey's Theory of Education. My final project is on my paper entitled Implementing Project-Based Learning in Science Classrooms using Dewey's concepts of progressivism and experiential learning. Dewey's ideas of progressive education, while not yet widely accepted in many teaching communities, are best practices for education, and especially science education. Dewey stated in Experience in Education, there is an intimate and necessary relation between the process of actual experience and education. Project-based learning, which has its foundations in Dewey's ideals of progressive experiential education and Jean Piaget's constructivist views of education, encourages rigorous, relevant, hands-on education in the classroom that mimics situations students will experience once they leave the four walls of the school building. The purpose of this research paper is to determine how science teachers in the modern era can implement project-based learning with fidelity by using Dewey's ideas regarding progressive education. With the ultimate goal of engaging students in authentic scientific learning, I will explore how project-based learning can best be planned and implemented in the scientific classroom. Project-based learning has its foundations far before Dewey's works in the ideas of Confucius and Aristotle. Each of these ancient philosophers suggested that students learn better through experience and doing. Dewey expanded on the ideas of project-based learning through his ideas of progressive education and experiential learning. Dewey advocated for the move away from traditional education to the ideas of progressive education to enhance the experiences students engage in while in school. Dewey stated of the difference between traditional and progressive education. The trouble with traditional education is not the absence of experience, but their defective and wrong character. Dewey also decried the use of traditional education by stating, simply studying lessons out of a book is only another kind of listening. It marks the dependency of one mind upon another. Dewey instead suggests that we should manufacture these experiences to meet the educational needs of our students, which requires careful planning on the part of the teacher. Maria Montessori expanded upon the works of John Dewey with her philosophy on play in education. However, project or problem-based learning is first recognized as a field of educational philosophy through the work of medical students at McMaster's University in Canada. This program focused on the application of knowledge through practice in medicine, rather than the simple rote memorization of facts. Along with the idea of experiential education, project-based learning is grounded in social learning theory and constructivism. Social learning theory, proposed by Albert Bandura, suggests that learning can be acquired through direct experience or by observing the behavior of others. Bandura suggests that learning happens more fully in an environment where students can collaborate, share ideas, and grow together. Constructivism is a theory proposed by Piaget and Vygotsky that educators use to guide students to build their knowledge through scaffolding, collaboration, and experience. All of these theories and ideas combine in order to construct an overarching theoretical framework for project-based learning. Project-based learning is a necessary method of content delivery, and teachers need support in implementing project-based learning through sustained professional development and the collaboration of professional learning communities. Despite the century of research, beginning with Dewey's views, that support the ideas of inquiry-based learning in science classrooms, including project-based learning, most inquiry that is done in classrooms today is guided or scripted inquiry. However, design-based or project-based learning is a way to encourage more open inquiry methods that are engaging and meaningful. Dewey's ideas of meaningful experiences can be applied to design-based and project-based learning and can expand student understanding. Through high-quality projects and project-based tasks, student groups and individual students report high efficacy and engagement in their learning. While the evidence for implementing project-based learning is abundant, teaching using project-based learning may be difficult for new or inexperienced teachers to immediately utilize because there are perceived problems with student control and time in the curriculum. However, teachers and students find using project-based learning to be engaging and worthwhile after project-based learning lessons are implemented. Project-based learning can be implemented effectively when teachers have a high intrinsic motivation to conduct project-based learning lessons, and this intrinsic motivation can trickle down to the students to help them be more motivated as well. Administrators can set up a supportive and structured environment for teachers to conduct project-based learning lessons, and these supportive environments encourage teachers to take risks with their implementation in project-based learning. Project-based learning now requires that students use 21st century skills that are difficult to measure using standards-based testing, but these skills will ultimately help the students become productive members of a global society. Student outcomes regarding project-based learning have thus far been promising, but the sustained implementation of project-based learning lacks much serious research. The need for project-based learning exists, and when looking at student data and evidence of performance after project-based learning strategies were employed, it is evident that project-based experiential education is a successful method of content acquisition, just as Dewey proposed, and professional development in the subject matter should be more widespread. When investigating professional development that is specific to project-based learning, it is evident that the professional development, as it is designed now, is not successful for instilling the project-based learning framework to the teachers, because upon further follow-up investigation, the teachers do not implement the strategies successfully in the classroom. Another method of professional development can be through the use of professional learning communities. Professional learning communities are a group of like-minded individuals who have similar educational goals and strive for continual educational improvement. Professional learning communities work through educational collaboration, where teachers sustainably improve their practice by holding each other accountable. Considering the importance of project-based learning, it is alarming that it is not implemented more commonly in science classrooms today. However, there are perceived issues in the implementation of project-based learning, including the thought that project-based learning takes additional time out of the classroom and that project-based learning leads to more behavioral issues. However, according to Dewey and subsequent research, along with observations in my own classroom, while project-based learning does indeed take more time to plan, if the teacher thoughtfully plans a lesson and objectives, project-based learning takes exactly the same amount of time in the curriculum as traditional forms of content delivery, and the students are more engaged. Students have to be more engaged during thoughtfully planned project-based learning units because they have rigorous educational goals to achieve that are tied to curriculum standards. Therefore, the implementation of project-based learning can be widespread, but is still held back by a lack of rigorous, sustained professional development. The current method of professional development for project-based learning is not working. Instead of the current method of professional development that is a one-time class with little to no follow-up, there should be continual professional development for project-based learning that includes supports to ensure that teachers are implementing the lessons with fidelity for an extended period of time after the professional development has concluded. One way to ensure that teachers implement project-based learning with lessons with fidelity is by setting up professional learning communities that include a group of like-minded educators who are interested in conducting project-based learning lessons in their classrooms. Using a professional learning community, teachers will encourage each other to succeed, hold each other accountable, and exchange ideas that will allow them to have more unique and innovative project-based unit plans. Just as collaboration is important for students to exchange ideas during the lesson they are learning, it is essential that teachers collaborate to make the best possible unit plans. This is especially important for project-based learning, as the lessons are inherently more innovative and creative than normal traditionally based classroom lessons. To conclude, it is incredible how many of Dewey's philosophies are applicable to current educational practices. However, many of these educational philosophies have gone unnoticed or ignored due to the influx of new educational philosophies at the beginning of the 20th century. Now, with renewed interest in globalization and the understanding of 21st century skills and the requirement for student success outside of school, the ideas proposed by Dewey have become once again more relevant. Project-based learning is one of these ideas. Using social learning theory, constructivism, and Dewey's progressive ideas, teachers can implement project-based learning in their classrooms as Dewey intended. However, without intentional, sustained professional development and the use of professional learning communities, these lessons will quickly be forgotten. Professional development needs to happen more than once, and professional learning communities need to be set up to include support for teachers when they are conducting project-based learning lessons. Thank you for listening to my presentation today. Project-based learning and professional development are two topics that I'm very passionate about, so I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my presentation, and I hope to hear back from you. If you have any questions or comments about my presentation, please feel free to reach out, and I look forward very much to hearing back from you. Thank you again, and let me know if you have any questions.